All right, we're on chapter 6, and I'm so sorry, everybody. I'm obviously, like, fucked up. And I'm gonna read because it's helpful to focus on things I, like, need to do. Even though I just want to dance and listen to the Beach Boys. Chapter 6, Moonface and the Slippery Slip. And if you're just now joining us, oh my god, we lost 30 viewers. If who cares? All right, Moonface and the Slippery Slip. If you're just joining us, fuck off. Why weren't you here? JK. So this is like a really old children's book from England. This specific copy is literally from the 70s. Shut up, Spicy. And wait, fuck, you guys are so distracting. The Enchanted Wood by Enid Blyton. It's about a group of orphan children who discover magic. No, I'm kidding. They're not orphans. They move to the country because their dad is poor. And he gets a job in the country, and they move out of their tiny little shitty city house, and they move out into the beautiful countryside, into a cottage, so that their dad can start new work, and they can escape the economic recession. I don't know. Gotta read between the lines sometimes. And they move to a cottage next to a wood in like a small provincial town. And then they go one day after doing all of their chores. They get to go on a picnic. And they decide to go a little bit to the wood, which they've heard is a queer wood. So children aren't allowed. Anyways, they go to the queer wood and they end up meeting some little pixies and some brownies, which are just pixies, but they like, I don't know. The little pixie people with long beards. They're kind of like gnomes, but they're not gnomes. And then they like see some like the brownies pop up on the toadstools. And then they see a gnome because like I said, they're different from gnomes. So then they see a gnome like sneaking up on the pixies or the brownies, and the gnome tries to steal a bag. And he does. He actually steals it. He grabs the bag and he starts running, and then like the older brother, he sticks out his leg and he trips the guy. He trips the gnome and gets the bag back. It says, "Stop, you thief." And then like he runs off, and then the brownies catch up with him, and they're like, "Oh my god, thank you so much. That guy's name is Creepy because he's always creeping around." And so the children chase after Creepy. I mean, this conversation probably happened after the chase, but whatever. So they chase after him, Creepy, and he climbs a big tree. And the children are like, "Oh yeah, well, we got him now. He's climbed a tree, but he can't stay up there forever. He'll starve." The brownies catch up to them, and they're like, "Thank you so much. Also, forget about it. We're never seeing that guy again." Because at the top of that tree is a portal that changes every day. But don't go up there, it's too dangerous. Because like we said, there's a portal at the top of the tree that changes every day. So don't climb the tree. And we're never going to see Creepy again. Maybe in 1,000 years. So, of course, the children, they go home, and they do all of their chores, and they wait and wait and wait until the day that their mother says they can have another picnic in the woods. And they go climb that fucking tree. So they find the tree again, they climb it for the first time, and as they're climbing up the tree, say my arms are the branches, they're they're fucking climbing the tree, and there's like houses in the tree. Like the first thing they come on is a window. They come upon a window, and then some other pixie like sticks his head out and like tells them to fuck off and stop peeping in his windows. He's like, people are always peeping in my fucking windows. Oh, and he throws water on Betsy. He's like, fuck off. And he throws water on Betsy. And then they climb a little bit further, and there's a door. And so they knock on the door, and like some pixie named Silky answers the door, and she's all like blonde. She's like, I'm Silky. What's up? And then she tells them a little bit about what else is going on in the tree. Like she's like, oh yeah, tons of people live here. Do you want some pop biscuits? So they eat pop biscuits and they get the tea. Literally. They have some tea. And she's like, oh yeah, and then watch out for Dame Wash-A-Lots. Because she'll throw her dirty laundry water out the window. And then as soon as they leave Silky's, Betsy gets soaked by Dame Wash-A-Lot, like throwing her dirty laundry water out the window. And I think that's where we left. Oh, no, that's not where we left off. So they climb all the way to the top of the tree. See some people along the way, but like those are the main people. And then they climb to the top and they get stuck in a land where everything moves around. No, wait, what was it called? Roundabout land. So everything moves in a circle. Everything is spinning. The trees are spinning, the bushes are spinning, the ground is spinning, the houses are spinning, and everybody on the ground also, and also you are spinning, like the children are spinning. Every person, dog, cat, tree, everything is spinning in a circle. It's called Roundabout Land. And there's always this loud music playing, and then when the music stops, the land stops moving, and that's how they ended up finding the exit. But they had to get the help of some rabbits. And then the rabbits were like, holy shit, we gotta get out of here too. And so the rabbits dug through the earth and found the hole to the portal. Because the ground had moved, the portal had moved under the ground. So they had to dig through the ground to find the fucking portal. And that's sick, in my opinion. And you know what? I will never give a better summary than that. Ever again. Chapter 6. Moonface and the Slippery Slip. The children clung to the top branches of the faraway tree, whilst the rabbits slid down a bit lower. They could still hear the gay music. Whoa. They could still hear... They could still hear the gay music of the roundabout land as it swung round overhead. We'd better get home, said Joe in a rather quiet voice. I think this has been just a bit too much exciting. Or, I think this has been a bit too exciting. Come on then, said Bessie, beginning to climb down. It'll be easier to get down than it was to climb up. But Fanny was very tired. She's the youngest. Oh wait, they say that in the... They literally say that in the next line. Fuck. But Fanny was very tired. She began to cry as she clung to her branch. She was the youngest, and not so strong as Joe and Bessie. I shall fall, she wept. I know I shall fall. Joe and Bessie looked at one another in alarm. This would never do. There was such a long way to fall. I want a daughter named. Please don't, because it mostly means butt or vagina, actually. Depending on where you're from. Don't name your kid Fanny. It's out of style. They apparently just finished filming a live action remake. Or not a remake. They've never made it. They just finished they're trying to make a live action Faraway Tree. It's either a series or a movie. I'm too afraid to Google it because I'm going to find out that it gets canceled or it's not even real or something. But I hear on the wind that they're making a live action Faraway Tree. And I'm bringing this up now because the story is that they're changing some of the names. Because there is a character named Dick and a character named Fanny. And they're, apparently they changed the names for the live action. Oh. Do you think British people know what they're doing? Do you think they know, chat? Come on. Well, don't answer it, obviously. I didn't even read the question out loud. Nope, they chose Brexit. Sadly, we haven't heard from anyone from England in a long time. The notoriously innocent British. Oh, how we miss them. This would never do. There was such a long way to fall. Fanny, dear, you simply must try, said Joe gently. We've got to get home safely. But Fanny clung to her branch and wept great tears. The two rabbits looked at her most upset. One put his paw into her hand. I'll help you, he said. But Fanny wouldn't be helped. She was tired out and afraid of everything now. She wept so loudly that two birds nearly flew off in fright. Just as the others were really in despair, a small door flew open in the trunk of the tree, not far below, and a round, moon-like face looked out. Hey there, what's the matter? Shouted the moon-faced person. A fellow can't get any sleep at all with all that awful noise going on. Fanny stopped crying and looked at Moonface in surprise. I'm crying because I'm frightened of climbing down the tree, she said. I'm sorry if I woke you up. Moonface beamed at her. Have you got any toffee? He asked. Toffee? Said everyone in surprise. What do you want toffee for? To eat, of course, said Moonface. I just thought if you had any toffee to give me, I'd let you slide down my slippery slip. You get down to the bottom very quickly that way, you know. A slide all the way down the faraway tree, cried Joe, hardly believing his ears. Good gracious, who would have ever thought of that? I thought of it, said Moonface, beaming again just like a full moon. You can't plan some things, chat. Exactly like that. I also imagine him as Pops from Regular Show. What did I just click? Okay. I literally imagine him as Pops from Regular Show, which is part of the reason why I loved Regular Show when I first saw it, because I read this book way before I watched Regular Show on Cartoon Network. But when I watched Regular Show for the first time, I was like, oh my god, Moonface. But here he's known as Pops in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm not gonna do the voice though. What do you want toffee for? Blah, blah, blah. Well, to eat. And if you give me some toffee, I'll let you slide down the slide of the faraway tree. Who would have ever thought of that? Cried Joe. I thought of it, said Moonface, beaming again just like a full moon. I let people use it if they pay me toffee. Oh, said the three children, and looked at one another in dismay, for none of them had any toffee. Then Joe shook his head. We've no toffee, he said. But I've a bar of chocolate. A bit squashy, but quite nice. Won't do, said Moonface. I don't like chocolate. What about the rabbits? Have they got any toffee? They haven't got any either? The rabbits turned out their pockets. They had a very curious collection of things, but no toffee. Sorry, said Moonface, and slammed his door shut. Fanny began to cry again. Joe climbed down to the door and banged on it. Hi, old Moonface, he shouted. I'll bring you some lovely homemade toffee next time I'm up the tree, if you'll let us use your slippery slip. The door flew open again, and Moonface beamed out. Why didn't you say so before? He asked. Come in. One by one, the rabbits and the children climbed down to the door and went in. This motherfucker, I don't remember how rude he was. Why didn't you say so before? Blah, blah, blah. One by one, the rabbits and the children climbed down to the door and went in. Moonface's house in the tree was very particular. Moonface's house in the tree was very peculiar. It was one round room, and in the middle of it was the beginning of the slippery slip that ran down the whole trunk of the tree, winding round and round like a spiral staircase. Round the top of the slide was a curved bed, a curved table, 2 curved chairs made to fit the roundness of the trunk. Hello, Faye Incarnate. Shout out to a fellow Flomy streamer. Thank you for rating with 35 viewers. I'm so sorry, I just gave the summary. But, welcome to Monday motherfucking book club. Thank you, Faye. Excuse me. And you have a wonderful night. So, at the top of this in this round room at the top of the faraway tree, there are round tables, round chairs, a round bed, made to fit the roundness of the tree trunk. The children were astonished and wished they had time to stay for a while, but Moonface pushed them towards the slide. You're gonna want a cushion each, he said. Hi, you rabbit. Take the top one and go first. One of the rabbits took an orange cushion and set it at the top of the slide. He sat down on it, looking a little nervous. Go on, hurry up, said Moonface. You don't want to stay all night, do you? He gave the rabbit a hard push, and the rabbit slid down the slippery slip at a tremendous pace, his whiskers and ears blown backwards. Joe thought it looked a lovely thing to do. He went next. He took a blue cushion, sat on it at the top of the slide, and pushed off. Down he went on his cushion, his hair streaming backwards. Round and round and round went the slippery slip into the side of the enormous trunk of the old tree. It was quite dark and silent, and lasted a very long time, for the faraway tree was tremendously tall. Joe enjoyed every second. When he came to the bottom, his feet touched a sort of trap door in the trunk at the foot, and the trap flew open. Joe shot out and landed on a big tuft of green moss, which was grown there to make a soft landing place. He sat there, out of breath. Then he got up quickly, for he didn't want Bessie or Fanny landing on top of him. Hold on, I need some water. Bessie went next. She flew down on a fat pink cushion, gasping for breath, for she went so fast. Then Fanny went on a green cushion, and then the other rabbit. One by one they shot out of the strange little trapdoor, which closed itself tightly as soon as the slider had gone through. They all sat on the ground, getting their breath and laughing, for it really was funny to shoot down inside of a tree on a cushion. The rabbits stood up first. We'd better get going, they said. So pleased to have met you. They disappeared down the nearest burrow, and the children waved goodbye. Then Joe stood up. "Come on," he said. "We really must get home. Goodness knows what time it is." "Oh, what a lovely way of getting down the faraway tree that was," said Bessie, jumping to her feet. "It was so quick." "I loved it," said Fanny. I'd like to climb the tree every single day just so that I could slide down that glorious slippery slip." "I say, what do we do with the cushions?" "Good night, Faye." "I say, what do we do with the cushions?" Sorry, I'm having internal thoughts. At that very moment, a red squirrel, dressed in an old jersey, came out of a hole in the trunk. "Cushions, please," he said. The children gathered them up and handed them to the squirrel one by one. They were getting quite used to hearing animals talk to them now. "Are you going to carry all these cushions up the tree to Moonface?" asked Fanny in wonder. The squirrel laughed. "Of course not," he said. "Moonface lets down a rope for them. Look, here it comes." A rope came slipping down between the branches. The squirrel caught the end of it and tied the bundle of cushions firmly to the rope. There's a cushion squirrel. Somebody's, I hope your bingo cards are getting filled here. The cushion squirrel caught the end of it and tied the bundle of cushions firmly to the rope. He gave 3 tugs, and the rope swung upwards again, taking the cushions with it. "Good idea," said Joe. And they all turned to go home, thinking as they walked of the strange and exciting things that had happened that day. They came to the ditch and jumped across. They went down the lane and through their little back gate. By the time they reached the cottage, they were ready to drop with tiredness. Their mother and father were not home yet. Their mother and father were not yet home. Bessie sleepily made some bread and milk. They undressed while the milk was heating, and they ate their supper sitting in their beds. "I'm not going up the faraway tree again," said Fanny, laying down. "Well, I am," said Joe. "Don't forget we promised old Moonface some homemade toffee. We can climb up to his house, give him the toffee, and slide down that slippery slip again. We don't need to go into any land at the top of the tree." But Bessie and Fanny were fast asleep. And very soon Joe, too, was dreaming of the strange faraway tree and the curious folk who lived in its enormous trunk. And that was chapter 6. I just checked how long chapter 7 is, and I will read that, but I'm stopping after chapter 7. And my voice is like fucked lately. Sorry. thank you, chat, and thank you, listener. Chapter 7. Without ripping the book in half. Damn. Alright, chapter 7. Bessie makes some toffee for Moonface. But I will take a quick bathroom break.